Nigeria, Lagos is home to the 5th largest economy in Africa, coming behind 4 countries, including Nigeria, but definitely second to no other regional government. And when he began his campaign for the governorship of Lagos State on the platform of the Action Congress in 2007, many people wondered, Babatunde Fashola, who is Babatunde Fashola? 8 years later, as the 13th governor of Lagos State prepares to step down from office, Babatunde Fashola lives as one of the most celebrated politicians of the Fourth Republic. His name generally associated with good governance and the restoration of Lagos. I say generally because I'm sure, of course, not everybody would agree with some of the decisions he's taken in the 8 years he's been in office. However, I believe that more people would agree that he's leaving Lagos better than he met it. Could he have done more? If he could but didn't, what held him back? How close is Lagos to becoming the mega city of his dream, and what are his future plans as he prepares to hand over the baton to Akinwumi and Bode tomorrow? Governor Babatunde Fashola is giving his final television interview as governor of Lagos State today, and I'm glad to be one of those hosting. Your Excellency, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Modele Sharafa, and I'm being joined by Eze Anaba, Deputy Editor of Vanguard Newspapers. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
We also have Ademola Adegbamide, Editor of the News Magazine. Thank you, Ademola.
Good morning, viewers.
And also here is Adeyinka Adewoye, the anchor of Owuro Lawa on LTV. Thank you very much, Adeyinka. Adeyinka will be asking questions in Yoruba, and hopefully all of us will be asking His Excellency the questions you would like to ask him as he winds down his tenure in Lagos State. You can also participate by sending your questions via Twitter at @followlasg and at @modelesy. We will try to take as many of your questions as we possibly can. Excellency, in your inaugural address in 2007, you said, and I quote, in part, my administration will pay particular attention to the core areas of education and the development of quality human capital, job creation, support for private enterprise, infrastructural development, public transportation, crime fighting, justice delivery, healthcare, and the environment, almost everything. And in which area would you score yourself the highest, and which one presented the biggest challenge, and why?
I think it would be inappropriate for a student, as it were, to write an examination, set the examination for himself, and give himself results. But the point to make simply is that every government is challenged by these issues of public health, public transportation, healthcare, jobs, all over the world. It's the same problem at national and sub-national level. What changes and differs is the complexity from time to time. The most I can say on behalf of my team and I is that we made an effort, and I think that we moved things forward. But the final verdict really will be the verdict of the people we serve, and I will respect that.
Could you have done more? And if you didn't, what held you back?
There is always scope to do more than you did yesterday. And all of these issues too are always relative. There is no 24 hours set aside, for example, from solving crime issues, as distinct from the one from doing paperwork, and also as distinct from the one from perhaps resolving industrial disputes. It's the same 24 hours in which you must put in as much as is possible, because once you lose today's 24 hours, it's gone forever. And you deal with tomorrow's 24 hours with the problems that tomorrow brings, and so on and so forth. There's always room to improve. That is my own attitude. But we gave it our best shot. We ran a marathon like a sprint, and in a few hours we should reach the finish line with some gas to take us there.
Let's go to some specifics.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I will start with what concerns me and my organization in particular. I'm talking about the Lagos Oshodi Apapa Expressway. Two things. From our findings, we discovered that Yeah, the road used to be bad, but one of the biggest challenges is the presence of tank farms, and that Lagos State government granted license to humongous number of tank farms without doing due diligence on environmental impact assessment on how these things will affect, the people who live around there and the companies around there. And that explains why tankers from all over the country besiege Apapa Expressway and clog that area. We want to know why that number of tank farms in Apapa.
Well, I think you probably mixed up two things here. You talked about Apapa and you talked about Apapa Expressway.
Yes.
And they seem to be little. I don't think that you are right, sir, in accusing Lagos State government of granting approvals for the erection of tank farms. I don't think you're right, sir. And I would be surprised to find building approvals granted by Lagos State for tank farms in that way. I would be, especially in the last 8 years. What the reality is that we have complained. I have had cause to write to the Ministry of Petroleum, at least not once or twice, because all their departments and agencies actually license, I think DPR and one of them, actually issue licenses for the operation of tank farms. And we have always complained in correspondence, none of which has ever received the courtesy of a reply from the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, saying that, look, we respect your regulatory and constitutional power to grant permits for people to operate tank farms. But as the subnational government here, we are also constitutionally empowered and entitled to grant building permits. In the event that you want to do so going forward, ask them to bring our own prior approval, because we should be able, and I have argued publicly that all the tank farms really should move to the Lekki Free Zone, and we're encouraging them to do so. So those are the factual, there are different levels of regulatory control. Building permit is ours, but we won't give it unless we are sure that all of the environmental issues are concerned. Authority to operate, to own a tank farm is a federal responsibility, because they have responsibility for petrol and petroleum related matters. But that said, I think the point to make is that we, as a nation, pay the price for the shortcuts and the half measures we perhaps have taken over the years. Why did it become necessary to start storing tank farm, petrol in tank farms? What happened to Mosimi? What happened to Atlas School? What happened to the pumping stations and all of those things that we invested money in many, many years ago when I was a lot younger, when I was a child? Those tank farms, as we know them today, were actually private jetties for fishing and all of those things. So we converted them as a nation. Now, if we have not done the right things, because then also we used to tank petroleum products by rail. So if we left the right path and chose this shortcut, we pay the price today, because on the average, I think about 6,000 or 7,000 tankers must come into Apapa, because that is the only place where you can actually discharge fuel, to the best of my knowledge. So from all over Nigeria, 6,000 to 7,000 tankers must come in there on a daily basis in order to give you and I fuel. That's what we've created as a nation. So if we want to change it, the choice is easy, because we made it. One of the ways in which we can deal with it is to start betting in ports like Port Harcourt, Akwa Ibom, Warri, and disaggregate the supply and distribution of fuel. And that was why I believe refineries like Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and I think the two in Warri or so were built to distribute and relieve the pressure we are now having that everybody goes to one place.
Talking about environmental impact assessments, it brings to my mind the Eco-Atlantic City. I've heard some people say that the EIA was not done for that project, and it's one of the reasons why finance is being delayed and people are not taking it up. What exactly happened with Eco-Atlantic City, and do give us an update on that very important project?
Well, I have spent a lot of time explaining this. I will again. Those who make those comments, with respect to them, are ignorant. And perhaps also we should ask those who make those comments what technical knowledge of the subject that they are discussing they have. What knowledge of the history of Lagos they have. How many of those who make those statements today recall or understand or know that in front of that place that we all know is Bar Beach today, you would walk at least 2 to 3 kilometers in the 70s before you saw water. So essentially, first of all, as a conceptual matter, and for the understanding of those who don't know, the land that we are reclaiming now is land that the sea took from Lagos. We are resetting the boundaries of Lagos and Nigeria. So land used to be there before. There used to be a house on that place. Dr. Maja's house used to be there. The water took it away. Now what the Eco-Atlantic is re-establishing that boundary and now building a sea wall to protect Lagos from flooding. At this moment, as I speak, America is going through its tornado and hurricane season. Let nobody be in any doubt. The same Atlantic Ocean that we call the Bar Beach on the South Atlantic is the Atlantic Ocean in America. It's north and south. It's one body of water. All of the rain, all of the hurricane and whatever that is coming there this year, we will feel the impact 14 days after. Make no mistake about it. And waves as high as 3, 4 meters, 6 meters have hit that coastline over the last 5, 6 years. Why we haven't felt the impact is that the seawall is working. I believe you used to work at NTA, and NTA used to flood. It has not flooded in the last 6 years. What has it? The protection is doing its job. For how long, I don't know. That is our engineering solution at this time. So those who say these things speak ignorantly. We have partnered with a very reputable company who have also employed some of the best of capacity that is available in coastal erosion protection that is available anywhere in the world. And that is the best that we can do. But we could also have said that, you know what, we don't know what to do. There was a time that the only answer this country had was to go and pump sand. 4 billion, 5 billion every 2 years. And the sea would gladly come and wash it away. At that time, the road there was gone. We did not have the prominent that we have now, where we host the countdown and 300,000 people are in one place at night, and over 4 million people gathered in that place throughout a month. The banks, the businesses, the hotels on that shoreline are now back. They were not there 10 years ago. They had all run away. So that's the solution we offer. How long it would endure for is supposed to last for a very, very long time. But in coastal and erosion issues, this is man's continuing engagement with nature. Ultimately, nature will win. So the real deal is, for how long can we keep nature away? Can we control it? Can we adapt?
Debt is a big issue everywhere. You have been quoted as saying that states with more than 60% capital expenditure in this project can make good use of debt as a proper instrument for investment for tomorrow. Can you explain further this stand of yours and give evidential justification for it?
Can you say that again? 60, I quoted that.
The 60% capital, states with more than 60% capital expenditure in this budget can make good use of debt as a proper instrument of investment budget.
Yes, okay. Maybe perhaps that's not exactly
The way you said it was.
No, but I think essentially what I was saying was that, first of all, it always speaks to prudent budget to invest more on the capital side. Because and especially in a developing nation where the infrastructure is still not of the quality that we want. And no society will grow or advance bigger than its infrastructure. State of our power infrastructure. Our productivity as a nation today is defined by how we transport ourselves. If there was a fast train from Lagos to Abuja, why should everybody be flying? And so on. So we must continue. So it's in that sense that I speak to investment in the capital side rather than recurring. Recurrent, you will have to deal with overheads, which is the cost of running government, as distinct also from personnel costs, which is salaries, wages, pensions, and all of those, which form the recurrent side of budget. But at this time, the quickest way to reflate the economy is not spending more on the recurrent, but spending more on the capital. Building, construction, expansion, upgrade. Because what you will in effect be doing, be moving money into much more diverse parts of the economy. Your sitting staff are already sitting, so you will pay. But when you award a road contract, invariably an engineering firm is involved, architects are involved, quantity surveyors are involved. Consequently, merchandising follows. People have to supply rocks, bricks, builders, iron rod, water supply. At the construction site too, food vendors lock into the system. And during that construction period, all over the world where construction happens, you see a rise in living standards during construction. In the aftermath of construction, what you also see is prosperity. Because life just becomes better. Roads are cleaner, faster, safer. Businesses move better. Services are delivered quicker. And the way, even in a depression, the way to jackknife the economy back to life is to invest more money by way of stimulus spending, even in bad economies. Brazil, China, all of them have done it. We won't be an exception. So in that way, you now can borrow. Now, what are you borrowing money for? If you are borrowing money to build a rail line that is going to last 200 years, 300 years, and pay for it today, you conclude the deal today, and you pay back over 20 years, 15 years, 8 years, you have done a great deal. Because in 100 years' time, that project would have been subject to the economic dynamics that it would be maybe 100 or 1,000 times more expensive. And that's why you will see that the things that we did in 2007, some of them we can't touch them again, because at the time the exchange rate was 118, 120 naira to $1 when we committed to a number of projects and borrowed to deal with them. The interest rate we were borrowing at then was about 11%. And I know that some banks even gave us 9.5%, 10%. Now you are talking 24%. Now you are talking 200 naira to the dollar on the official rate, if you see it. In the parallel market is 220. So just multiply that now to those things we did for 5 billion naira, 1 billion naira 7 years ago. So if we didn't commit then, that's what it's going to take to do it today. But we are now paying back at yesterday's cost. The assets will be there long after we have fully paid. The next generation won't come back to rebuild those assets. Imagine that we had to rebuild Ikorodu Road today, and that one government didn't think. Imagine that we had to start Third Mainland Bridge today. As at the last time we did the quantities on the Fourth Mainland Bridge, I think in 2011, for the alignment we were looking at, it was a 240 billion naira project. I didn't have 240 billion naira in the face of my competing. So those are things that we're saying, okay, maybe again now we now even have to change the alignment because of the airport and the seaport. Because you can't build another bridge like that in a hurry. So we're trying to readjust the alignment so that those two projects can benefit from them, instead of when they arrive, then how do we evacuate them? So we're planning again and looking at the alignments we're choosing. The initial alignment was closer to Chevron. And we're trying to find a place in between Chevron now and BGC, pardon me, and where the airport and the seaport are, so that those vehicles coming out of the port and who want to go outside Lagos don't need to come all the way inside Lagos in order to get out.
Adeyita.
Ẹ ṣeun ọlọ́lá jùlọ nígbà tá a ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ látẹ̀kan láàárín àwọn ìbéèrè táwọn tó kù mí mú náà ni màá ti mú ṣùgbọ́n ìbéèrè tèmi ni pé àwọn owó ńláńlá tí ẹ̀ ń ná sọ̀tún tẹ̀ ń ná sósì níbo ni ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ti ń rí owó yìí ṣé kìí ṣe pé àlọ́ owó yámbì kan tí ó di pé bàbá kò lórí àlééfà tán kan máa sọ pé àjọ ìwé tiwa rè ìyẹn ní ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́ báwo ni ọ̀rọ̀ owó orí ti tó ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ṣe àbá tún ní ọ̀nà míì tẹ̀ fi ń ṣèjọba ti di àsìkò.
Ṣé rí ẹ jẹ́ ń sọ kankan ní ìdájú, kò sí pé tá a bá kúrò níjọba káwọn èèyàn máa wà pé ìwé àwọn rè ìjọba jẹ àwọn lówó, ìjọba àwọn kú bẹ́ẹ̀, àwọn tó ń ṣáájú ìjọba ló ń lọ. Bá a ti ṣe wà ilé ní tó yìí kú wákàtí mélòó yìí, àwọn kan sì wà lọ́fíìsì mẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń wá nǹkan kan kíjọba ṣe. Tá a bá ní à ń ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́, a jẹ̀bi wọn.